devastated nearby rural communities. Some roadways are blocked by trees and debris. Many are still experiencing power outages. And people are reporting that they are in need of food and clean drinking water. So we need to help them.
All right, so some of you have cars, some of you have supplies. We've got some things at our distribution site. So let's figure out how to make this work.
How do we help them? Ideas? Feel free to get up, talk about concepts here.
I got bottled water.
You got bottled water?
I have a distribution center here.
Let's start with that.
In Knoxville.
Got a truck.
Where are we hearing reports of certain needs?
So right now we know that Elm Springs and Liberty Hill, we're doing small scale since we have a small group. Liberty Hill, Elm Springs are communities that need water. So we need to get stuff to the distribution site first so we can sort things out and send things out to these communities.
All right, you've got a small truck.
I got a truck.
I've got some supplies here. All right, we're going to start with Liberty Bell, and we're going to send water, clothing, and paper towels.
All right, and Catherine is going to write down what we're sending out to this community.
I've got a garage full of old clothes. Where do I drop those off?
Since we don't know what we need exactly right now, go ahead and drop those off at the distribution site.
Bell.
You're going to Liberty Bell. Then you've got some supplies.
I got a minivan.
So you're bringing the supplies in the minivan. All right. Do you want to make a trip to one of these centers as well, to one of our disaster sites?
Yes.
What?
Okay.
Hey, Distro, Liberty Bell say the roads, when I came up here, the roads kind of suck. Tell people to stay off 85.
All right, we got a message. Stay off of 85 if you're going to Liberty Hill. All right, we just got an update. Drinking water appears to be the greatest need at the moment, so we're going to focus on water right now.
Water. Let's send you with water.
Okay.
And you're going to go out into Elm Springs. If you deliver these to Elm Springs, and we're going to put these here.
Okay. Elm Springs.
Yes.
All right, another vehicle off to Elm Springs.
I've never been to Elm
All right, who
Springs
has?
before. I don't know how to get there.
You don't have water.
Oh, hey,
I need directions, but I'm out of service. What do I do? I can't.
Pull
Okay.
it and ask somebody.
And then you drop them off. Are you willing to drive some out to one of our locations as well? Okay, awesome. Let's send you with. We've already got some water. Let's send you with some non-perishable.
Excuse me, can you help me find
All right,
do you know
Elm
how to get
Springs
to
has
Elm
an update
Springs?
they want to share.
I've never been to Elm
Elm
Springs.
Springs
What
has
state
an
is that in?
update for
Knoxville.
everyone. Cleaning supplies and non-perishable food
Seems to be the greatest needs for most communities.
All right, we're going to switch over to cleaning supplies and non-perishable foods.
Yeah, you go down to the church over here, you take a left, you take the first right, you take two more left.
Hey, I'm at the store. Can I buy something? I got some money. I want to buy some. I'm
Yeah,
at the store.
how about non-perishables? Elm Springs is saying they need
All right,
non-perishables.
I got them. I'll bring them
Find
over.
out why I left 3 hours ago.
The water.
And we'll have to get more of the gas.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So you can take lots
Yeah,
of
is there
water.
any gas
All
around
this
here? Can I
water.
fuel
No, you
up?
have to go back to Liberty Hill.
Liberty Hill, okay.
I'm giving you a card.
I know how to get
And I'm
there.
giving you some supplies, so pay attention to the updates that we're getting.
A Camry?
Yep.
Wait, what model?
It doesn't say what model. 2007, those are just ones.
That's what I got.
Oh,
My
excellent.
200
We
Camry.
have a
We
2002.
we're happy to get through.
Yeah.
We'll drive up to you.
Ring.
Hey, what can I do for you?
I just was
the
at
supplies that
Elm
you brought,
Springs. It sounds
I'm
like they
gonna-
need bottled water there.
Oh, Elm Springs still needs bottled water. Okay, let's make sure we're getting more bottled water out.
Let's send you.
I got
You
bottled
got bottled water?
We have enough bottled water.
Here,
He has enough
here's
water.
some
Oh, you have enough water.
For the
non-perishable
time being.
supplies.
So let's
But I'm not
go
driving
away.
anywhere because I'm done. I just wanted to drop some
More
stuff off.
water. Does someone have a vehicle they can volunteer to go to Elm Springs? Maybe a Camry?
Oh, yeah, I do. Camry can do.
Oh, you have some other supplies to drop off too? Perfect.
Excellent. Do you have a vehicle? as
We're
well?
gonna load you up with bottled water.
Where am I going?
You're gonna go to
Alright.
Elm Springs. Let's make sure though there's nothing else we need to load in your car. Oh, they need food too.
Yeah, Elm Springs, I hear, they don't need more water, but they need cleaning materials.
Oh, because I was there an hour and a half ago. They told me they need water.
Okay, so that's the most recent update. So we're gonna switch to giving them some water just to be safe.
Okay, and then what about Liberty Bell? What is Liberty Bell in need of? Liberty, anyone heard back from Liberty Bell recently?
How you doing, Liberty Bell?
Good on water. So let's send them some. We're willing to get back to Liberty Bell again. Send you with hygiene, cleaning supplies, baby supplies.
Yeah, I'm a misanthrope. I don't care about the people, but I got pet food.
Yeah, you can go ahead and drop it off. Oh, so your bags are open. We can't take it.
That's real though.
That does happen.
All right. Camera's back in action.
Did you do a drop off?
Yeah.
Did you tell her where you went? We're keeping track of it, so make sure you tell her.
Okay, and you took water last time, I know.
Liberty Bell is an update.
Okay, let's send you to Liberty Bell. They said they were good on water, so we'll send you with food. What kind of car do you have?
Camry.
Camry, so we're not going to pack you up with too heavy clothing. And how about some baby supplies?
Hey, I'm a volunteer. You need help with the distro center?
Yeah, maybe you want to sort out some of the supplies we have.
Alright.
All right, I've got some more supplies to drop off too. Here, we got some more stuff here.
Give me updates.
Yeah.
Ooh, what kind of supplies would be good? Volunteer.
We've got, I've been loading water, finding that like if we set up an
These are
assembly
Palm
line
Springs.
and we hand it off to each other, 2 at the front of the vehicle and then 2 lines back, we can unload a vehicle pretty quickly. We've got batteries, we've got 5 boxes of non-perishable foods. Remote area medical is going to drop off an entire semi-truck of medical supplies in 60 minutes. So that's coming by.
All right, we need someone on socials to put out a call for volunteers to help us unload that 18-wheeler of medical supplies. Does anyone good with social media can help us? All right, thank you so much for your help.
And we have an update.
All right,
We need feminine hygiene items right now.
and Elm Springs. All right, Elm Springs needs feminine hygiene. Does anyone have feminine hygiene products?
Oh, those are just supplies that you have.
See if we have. All right, we've got some here. Do we have a driver? Let's put out on social media that we need some drivers for Elm Springs. All right, we've got the car. We've got SUV. Send you with a bunch of stuff then. You can fit a lot. All right, thank you so much for sending you to Elm Springs.
Hey,
And we're making a lot of trips.
I got a truck, but I don't have any gas.
I'll take from Liberty Hill.
Let's put out a call on social
More
media,
baby
see if
supplies
anyone can
needed
help
in
with,
Liberty Hill.
with some gas.
Post that on social media, please.
Hey, so
I
they give you gas
post on
money.
social media that I have children's clothing and diapers.
Show us your first one.
Can you drop them off at the distro
cargo
center?
van?
Yes.
All right, a cargo van. We're still in need of. I hear water at Elm Springs, but I haven't heard back anything yet. So.
Oh, we have enough water at Elm Springs.
Okay, so we're doing good on water. So let's send some paper towels, propane.
I hear they need water in Elm Springs. Someone told me that yesterday, so I think we should send some water over there.
Let's send you to Liberty Bell.
No, it's on the board here. We just got report backs from Elm Springs, from Hartford, from Canton, from all the surrounding towns, Newport, Irwin. They say they're good on water and they're starting to ship and needing, they say, pet food and cleaning supplies. Seems like the water is now being taken care of, so we just got an update on that.
Excellent. All right, so I have the time written down that we heard back at 9:06 a.m. 7 minutes ago that we don't need more water in Elm Springs. So who was here? You got some supplies you're dropping off?
I dropped off children's supplies for Elm Springs.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much for thinking about
Hey.
their needs specifically.
Would you mind loading your car directly into his car? That way we don't have to keep it stored here.
Yeah, here you
Y'all can just, go to car.
Right in the car.
Where's this going?
It's going to Elm Springs.
Elm Springs.
All right, here you go.
And I still have supplies as well. That's what I'm saying. So I
We would be happy to
Liberty Hill
help you
update.
to take the ice
So I've got a
here.
generator and baby supplies.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Liberty Hill cannot take any more donations at this time. They're at capacity with their, just their site.
All
So we're
right.
on Elm Springs right now?
Elm Springs. Has anyone heard any updates on what Elm Springs is in need of right now? Why I still have feminine hygiene products and cleaning products on the list? All right, we don't know, but we're going to send them some stuff because I bet they're going to need some generators to help with things, and batteries, more cleaning supplies. You've got that nice big SUV, so I'm going to send you to Elm Springs.
We really need generators right now.
All right.
Yeah, water.
Douglas is on the way with a generator. They are heavy. Okay. All right. You have the cargo van. We're going to send you with a generator. That's what they really need right now. Some cleaning supplies.
Yeah, let's load that up. Lots of stuff in the cargo van.
Let's do some food and diapers. Diapers are always in need. People are always in need of diapers. And you're going to head to Elm Springs, please. Thank you so much.
We've
Be
got
sure to
another
report back
bag
in
in
here.
Yeah.
Alright, seems like Elm Springs needs a lot of just general stuff. Is any of this good to go for Elm Springs? Pretty much.
Yes, pretty much everything. I think they said they were full on water, so we can hold back for
So I'm gonna just send the Camry with the kind of miscellaneous supplies. We've got some food, we've got medical supplies, and if they tell us they don't need any of this, they'll give us nothing.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, I'm from Kentucky. I think that Obama was the devil and that abortion is murder. Can I help out?
Yeah, you can help out. What do you have? You have a truck?
Yeah, I got a truck right here.
All right, we've got some clothing and pet food that we'd love for you to take to Elm Springs if you don't mind.
I so appreciate y'all doing this. I'm doing
We
this fair.
appreciate you.
We're having a hard enough time with everybody in the Middle East trying to kill us. I'm glad that people are actually trying to help. I'm one Elm
Is there anyone with
Springs here.
supplies that wants to take them to the donation site?
Here you go.
We don't have any supplies right now. We're all full. Are you able to wait around for a few minutes?
Good thing.
We should have more supplies coming in any minute. If you could just wait just a minute
I
for
think
us.
we've got some more supplies coming in. If people want supplies to come.
They don't need food and everything.
Okay, we're gonna find another location to send those to. Thank you so much. You're dropping things off. Thank you so much.
I'll get the food and cleaning supplies out of the way, so send those.
Are you willing to do a drive for us out to one of the sites? All right, it looks like we only are working with Elm Springs right now, so let's send them with some clothes. Wait, let's see. They didn't need food or cleaning supplies, right? Well, it looks like that's what we have right now, so we don't need any drivers for that location right now, but thank you so much for bringing this. We're going to make sure this gets to another location. Thank you so much. All right, we're still waiting on some supplies for you to take.
I have donated some supplies.
Yes, that's perfect. All right. Thank you so much for your help with this.
Update, our needs have all been met.
Okay.
All right, Elm Springs is at capacity, so the two sites that we've been distributing to are at capacity right now, so we're gonna pause on distributing any more
You are
supplies.
welcome to still drop off.
And we'll try to identify other communities that need these supplies.
We
They
absolutely
don't go
are.
to waste.
If you still want to do a run for us, then we can definitely find you a site to go to.
I gotta go. I gotta go make dinner.
All right. You have a good dinner. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, tell me next time when you need me.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
What happened?
I guess we cleaned up or cleaned out. So, Liberty Hill. I didn't look at the rubber.
Oh, so we got, okay, we'll figure out best way to put these to use.
Thank
All right, thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good job, everyone.
Okay, so Catherine, what did we end up sending out? How many runs did we do?
About 14? About
14, not bad, in 17 minutes, 18 minutes, good job.
Yeah, good job, everyone.
All right, so we wanted to just simulate a little bit of what this process actually looks like, at a very fast pace, collecting supplies at the distribution site, sorting them out, trying to identify communities in need, receiving updates from those communities. So when we're actually doing this, part of the driver's responsibility is to report back what these communities are in need of, and those needs can change a lot through the course of a day or a week. And
And so, yeah, it's a fast-paced, fast-moving, slightly chaotic thing, but when everyone cooperates, we can actually be really efficient. So I think this shows that, because we didn't give you any instructions, right? We just kind of jumped into it, and that's actually sort of how this goes in the real world. So Catherine is going to now jump into her presentation that actually kind of breaks down mutual aid, and specifically mutual aid that focuses on responding to needs in the immediate aftermath of eco-disasters.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming today. So that was oh nice. Yeah. Everything but that one. All right.
I'll come around and get all yours.
So we're going to talk today. The three of us have worked on a couple of different programs with Eastern Kentucky floods and Hurricane Helene this last year. So we're doing maybe about how these work. It works. Okay. About ourselves, Chris Irwin is over here. Wave Chris.
Hey, everyone.
He has founded and worked on numerous direct action campaigns like Food Not Bombs. He has also worked heavily on clean water and clean air programs, and he's a lawyer and one of the co-founders of this appeal conference. Cecilia Stair is a community activist. She is a music therapist who especially works with people with chronic illnesses and substance abuse disorders. I'm Catherine Abbott. I run the Birdhouse Neighborhood Center, which is a nonprofit gathering space in Knoxville, and we were one of the first locations for both of the programs that we've run, the Kentucky flooding and the Hurricane Helene mutual aid relief efforts. So what is mutual aid? If you're not familiar with this concept, it's really about the voluntary exchange of resources and services within a community. It's all about supporting one another. And as Cecilia put it on the Facebook group for the Eastern Kentucky floods, the intention is to provide direct relief, human to human. So this is really about helping one another, which I think was really shown in that simulation we just went through. So why is this needed? Fast action can save lives. We were in there on day 1, day 2, after these natural disasters, after the floods dissipated after Helene. And FEMA took 5 days to get set up. But we were there helping from the beginning and getting actual resources and supplies needed to these areas. Also, the public wants to help. There's a disaster and people want to do something. And this really helps people, gives them a way to help out with the disaster. And that's, I think, a really important theme throughout this whole process is people want to help. We can address immediate needs like water, food, sometimes even shelter and medical supplies and medical needs. And I think something that is really important is we're seeing more and more of these natural disasters over time. This chart is from NOAA and shows the number of billion-dollar natural disasters over the past 44 years. And it is consumer price index adjusted for comparison, so it's not, it does take into account inflation. It's not non-comparable. So it's pretty clear that the number of disasters is increasing. It's also, if you get into it, interesting to see that specifically the severe storm count is greatly increasing. That's the green one in the middle. So this is just really needed. We're going to see more and more disasters, and with programs like FEMA taking days, we really need these grassroots efforts. So talking just specifically about our processes for these 2 programs that we've worked on. Getting started. Our goal. It's good to start out with a goal with any program or project. And these have been a little chaotic, like you saw, but the goal is kind of there in your head. You're getting supplies to the disaster areas as quickly and safely as possible. So we knew we needed organizers, we needed locations for drop-off, volunteers, and locations to send the supplies to. So the first thing we had to figure out was where was going to be our distribution site. Where can people drop off their supplies? And again, people want to help out. So there's going to be, we put out the call, there's going to be volunteers for locations, for distribution sites. Think about places that are centrally located, where people can actually drop off supplies. There has to be room to hold the supplies, preferably covered. There needs to be, or there preferably would be space for temporary storage, especially in a multi-day effort. And parking. You don't want to distribute 84 cases of water very far to unload it and then load it on someone else's car again. We used the birdhouse, like mentioned earlier. And for the Kentucky floods, you all used a storage unit, which was a great, quick solution.
We used your front porch too, the birdhouse front porch.
The birdhouse, yeah, for Kentucky, yeah, for both of them. Lock and Key Productions had a warehouse available. They just offered they wanted to help. And the Unitarian Church was especially a great location because it's well known. They had storage carts and they had volunteers who were willing to help us from the get-go. Here's just some images of a couple of the locations. That's the Unitarian Church. They had a supply room in the front of their building that you could store stuff in overnight. And this is loading up from the storage unit in Kentucky for the Kentucky floods. All right, so implementation, getting started on this project. I think this is probably pretty self-explanatory after our simulation, but we started out with social media, which we'll talk about in a second. It's a really important part of our campaigns. You could do it through other methods of communication, but social media was really important to us. We asked for people to drop off supplies, we asked people to pick up supplies, we sent them out, and we used social media to kind of drive all of it. So for Helene, we created a Facebook group, and it had, well, for both of them, we created Facebook groups to get people involved. And for Helene, we had over 1,000 people join that Facebook group within 24 hours. People who wanted to help and wanted to do different things to really get to the disaster communities and do what they can. We also shared on our personal Instagrams. We gave live updates. People who were familiar with the areas gave updates. It was just kind of the full 360 circle of communication. Something that was maybe a bit of a challenge was keeping the Facebook group on topic. Chris was moderator for that.
They will be disciplined.
Do you have any good stories? Was there anything?
Well, what happens is you get 1,000 people that don't know each other, and people want to post about like, hey, I hope the pets are okay, and blah, blah, blah. But we kept it on logistics. And we made it really clear, look, we're about moving stuff from A to B. We really appreciate your pet photos or your climate change stuff even, but we can't get, with 1,000 people, it makes the list meaningless. So everything had to go through the moderators, and we only let stuff through that was strictly logistics. Getting to A to B, I got supplies, and it was a bit of, people wanted to post other stuff. That'll kill a group list like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping people on topic was really important. This was the Facebook group created for Helene. It's not working.
You could say click, and Cecilia could push the button.
Yeah, the social media aspect of this I think is interesting because we use social media, if you're like me, you use it for social reasons primarily. So to kind of switch into that mindset of using it as, in such a utilitarian way is just a different approach. And I think even with that group, we had to kind of train people a little bit. This is logistics. This is not like your stories matter, all of these other things you're doing matter, but this particular group is about logistics and about moving supplies really quickly and keeping that focus.
Absolutely. We even even had national groups. This was a national group posting on our group page about how they needed some help with helping animals in Iroquois County, which is between North Carolina and Tennessee, kind of near Asheville. All right, so now you have all these supplies at your distribution center. What do you do with them? How do you know where to send them? How do you know about the Elm Springs and Liberty Bell? We started off with just doing some online research. Google it, the power of the interwebs. And sometimes schools or churches would post something. A lot of the areas didn't have internet or phone service, but the areas right next to them maybe did, or someone who was close by had driven over there and seen it and then posted on their church site that they were accepting donations, that kind of thing. You're looking for just any clue of where to go. Word of mouth. People would drop off supplies and say, my cousin in Rocky Springs reported that they really need water over there, and we would take note of that. And the drivers reported back. People wanted to help again. So these drivers, these amazing people, would come to us and say, we're just going to go. We had so many people be like, we're just going to drive toward Marshall and see where we can drop stuff off. And they would drive around until they found a place that is accepting donations. So what we were doing, just to clarify here, is really sending those supplies to other distribution centers that were in the disaster relief areas or very close to them, where people could come pick up supplies, or they had the manpower to be sending someone or a team out. It's only a mile away versus our 90 miles.
Yeah, and we're sending people into disaster areas, letting the locals who know the roads and streets and everything. So we would set up a distro point and then let them distribute. Makes it safer for our drivers, so they don't have to go. Though a lot of our drivers, my favorite report we got back was somebody said, yeah, they said that this road probably wasn't safe and we shouldn't go down it. They had pictures and they wrote back, they were right. And
we did it anyway.
Yeah, they did it anyway, but we are going into sending drivers into areas of natural disasters have just hit. Entire roads are gone in some places. Some roads aren't there anymore. Some roads are heavily damaged. 40 blew off that's sort of the situation. So by having you working with the local community to do the drop-offs and just having distro points and not doing one-to-one, it's safer for our drivers.
Absolutely, and we try to not send them after dark either, even if they're willing to. We discourage them from driving after dark in these areas. Here's just some slides from our social media showing how the process kind of unfolded. We would get reports like Vines Creek, Grassy Fork, Hartford really need food and water. They've been out without it for 7 days. Hot Springs, I want to drive something there. I got all this supplies. Where do I go? Who can help me? That's something that we can help with, is telling you where to go. Social media was used in another way for soliciting people as well. We had a huge drop-off of water. We need drivers, as Chris put it. And people would just come. It was just a very fluid program of people coming to drive, people dropping off supplies. It was also a big enough effort where it didn't necessarily have to be scheduled by the time. It was again fluid.
Something key, each time it has snowballed exponentially. And I don't use the word exponentially lightly. You go from one day, and the next day you've got 5 times that amount of supplies and drivers that are showing up. And the next day you've got 5 times. I mean, just the amount of supplies that we started getting, once people heard what we were doing, is intimidating. It's a lot.
And then it kind of tapers off as all the stores run out of water.
Yeah.
We have people driving stuff in from Nashville to us to then distribute to another distribution center to get it there. So it's a pretty big group effort. We have local businesses like Trader Joe's donate water, so we needed someone to volunteer to go pick it up from Trader Joe's. Also, we had some people who wanted to give money. We tried to keep money out of this, except maybe a little bit for gas if needed. But instead of donating money, we asked them to put in On the left is one of the distribution centers. I think this was in Elizabethton. So this is where we took supplies to, and then they could actually get it to the people in need. A lot of probably after day 2, a lot of the distribution centers started posting their needs. So the drivers would report these images back to us, so we could keep track of what was needed in what place. Water. Even some gas tanks back there. Don't volunteer to help load if you don't have a good back. No, I'm just kidding. There's plenty of things you can load without getting water, but there's a lot of water getting moved, which is very needed. You started seeing posts on social media from the locations themselves. This post from Asheville is saying that a cold front's coming in. They need cold weather gear. On the right here, we've got one of our drivers, Allison, reporting back to us on the conditions and what she saw when she actually was there helping. She specifically says there are no government groups there helping. And I think this was on October 4th. I blurred out some of the information. Makeshift. Like I said, people were driving around looking for where to drop this stuff off. This is what they saw. People made makeshift distribution centers. They put out plywood boards saying what they can help with. This is what you're looking for when you're driving around. This was at the Unitarian Church. You can see how people could pull really close up. We had the wagons. We had a lot of volunteers helping. Charlie Biggs in the green right there is kind of managing the clipboard and where people go. So it ends up, it's a pretty smooth process, but it's also okay that it's a little chaotic. It all works. This was an interesting post where someone wanted trail riders on horseback to help out, which we didn't facilitate, but I guarantee you that these posts like this, they got responses and people went out on horseback to help people in the disaster areas. More examples of needs in some of our distribution
Oh, go
sites.
back. Did that say no weapons on school property?
Yeah, no, a school drop-off area. Water. Different types of vehicles. People rented U-Hauls to bring us water or other supplies, and people rented U-Hauls to actually pick up the supplies and drive them out to North Carolina and affected areas, which was really cool. And then once we kind of got a few days into it, we started getting some more official notices. This is a Unicoi County press release sharing where the donation drop-off sites are and what is needed specifically at those places. So we were continuously doing research and looking for the best places to send the products and the best ways to help them. Propane, it's a really good idea. It helps with a lot of tools and even gas grills to make sure that there's some nutrition out there. This is some of the Eastern Kentucky slides. Beaver Creek Elementary was taking supplies and they've listed exactly what they needed. This is Cecilia's parents doing a supply run. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we got a huge donation from Remote Area Medical. They came with multiple pallets, right?
Semi.
A whole semi. So we actually had a huge amount of medical supplies and Narcan and all kinds of things that we were able to send up to Eastern Kentucky. So several days of us doing this effectively kind of signaled that we were efficient and that we were deserving of receiving these supplies and distributing them.
Yeah, these are pictures of what Cecilia was talking about: breathing equipment, Narcan, masks, N95 masks. Sometimes it's a little, makeshift like this. It doesn't have to be pretty to be effective. Yeah, these were great donations. Gloves, water, always water, toilet paper, diapers. You have to think about what people really need. I think we take a lot of these supplies for granted.
Water's really common. In the ash blowout in Kingston, water. In the Kentucky floods, water. It's because when the floods and stuff happen, water will get contaminated. The sewer systems will break. And that's a common thread through every single one we've gone through is, you can't go wrong with water up front.
Yeah, and cleaning supplies were a big one too with flooding. There's a lot of cleaning that happens that's just people doing it themselves, volunteers coming in to clean. So a lot of cleaning supplies were needed.
And dust suppression, because a lot of contaminated sites got blown out all over East Tennessee. And one thing we learned from the ash disaster, we made all of our people mask up. So we provide masks and make people very aware about dust issues. Because some of this dust, like around Hartford, I believe they were concerned about dioxin contaminated dust. It's not just when it's wet, but then all that particulates dry out, and you don't want your workers breathing it, and the community, if you can get them to mask up.
Absolutely. So when do you stop? Because I think it probably feels like you can continue mutual aid like this forever. And you could, if that's what you choose to do. But we stopped around 5 days, and it was when we started getting the reports that the distribution centers were full. It was when FEMA started setting up distribution sites and their efforts, and then they started being really picky about the supplies that they allowed for quality control, understandably. Capacity. Think about your own capacity. We were taking off work to be able to help with home eating, for instance, and that's just not sustainable forever. So it's okay to think about your own capacity. And then when the needs change, we started also getting reports back that some of the sites really needed manpower instead of supplies, and that is just a different effort. That is something that you could change your model to incorporate. We decided to stick with only supplies for home specifically, but these are things to consider so that you know when to kind of stop your effort. Some examples: they said they had plenty, go somewhere else. Hearing about different needs. This is a post from the Unitarian Church minister thanking everyone for their efforts after we finished the around 5 days that we collected everything. All right, so we created a new Facebook group called Knoxville Disaster Response Mutual Aid, and we hope that you will join this. This is really meant to be a hub for information about putting together processes and programs like this. It's not necessarily going to have all the details like we've been showing you examples of, but it's where you can find where to go to find those details. And we hope that this is kind of an ongoing group. It's not, we started it, but it doesn't need to be managed by us. It's just kind of a help each other out, mutual aid Facebook group. Chris?
Yeah, and this is for people also online. If you get hit by a hurricane or a flood or a fire or any of these disasters, hit us up. Well, if you got a question, how the hell did you do this? Do you have an example of that? Whatever. That's what this is really for. We know it's going to happen again, and we want to have a place for people if they have to do it in Morristown, if they have to do it in Nashville. Nashville had some floods a while back, a long time ago. They were pretty hardcore. If they have to do it in a different city and you're like at home going, oh crap, what do those people say about doing? You can come to this page and say, hey, I need to know blah, 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 and we will try to help you out as best we can.
Absolutely.
Catherine touched on this a little bit too. There are mutual aid groups that focus on sort of ongoing mutual aid, responding to individual needs, and that's very important too. So this is just sort of a different category of mutual aid. It's responding in the immediate aftermath of an eco-disaster. It's moving supplies really quickly and really efficiently. So this is just its own category of mutual aid, and I think Catherine's going to give you some examples of other also very important sort of categories of mutual aid.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Segued
didn't
into
steal your
it.
thunder.
Yeah, so here's just some options available in the Knoxville area, but you can do a quick Google search and find lots of different ways that you can contribute in your area, whether you're from Knoxville or different places. There's a lot more than this in Knoxville as well, and lots of temporary floating type of mutual aid projects like we did as well. Just to go back, we don't need to go through this process, but this flow chart is posted to the Facebook group for people who want to start a mutual aid program like we've been describing. Kind of just gives you an idea of how the process flow is moved. All right, so I'm going to end with a quote from anthropologist Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. need is the only thing that ever has. All right, so with that, thank you so much for listening to our long spiel here. And we want to get questions. I mean, hoping that questions about the process. And if you want to share your experience, have any of you all worked with a mutual aid group or helped with disaster relief? You want to share your experience? Adam, share. Adam was one of our, he worked with us on Helene. Did you go to Kentucky as well?
No, I wasn't involved in the Kentucky. The first mutual aid project, or the first big disaster relief I remember working on was the chemical spill in the Elk River in West Virginia in 2014. And like this big chemical tank ruptured in the middle of December, spilled this chemical into the drinking water, and I think something like 300,000 people in West Virginia were out of water. And we ended up doing some distribution in the rural parts. I learned gallon of water weighs 8 pounds.
Yes, I know that too.
Yeah, we had to figure out how many. I think 60 gallons was kind of the max. You'd load up with 480 pounds and then take it up these mountain roads.
Yeah, we did some math. I mean, people would bring in trailers and they would have capacities. So we were doing math and also watching. There was one really cool woman with an SUV that I remember hurt. She was sitting pretty low, and we were like, "You shouldn't do this." She was like, "It's fine." She just wanted to help so much. Great.
Any other questions or responses to the exercise at the beginning? That's something I've never tried before, but
No one has.
It felt really real to me. In a
Yeah.
weird way.
Yeah.
I love y'all just jumped up and started kind of figuring it out, because that sort of is similar to what we had to do, right? Like, we weren't given instructions. We just all had to cooperate and kind of pay attention and respond to needs as they came up. So it's not that dissimilar to the process.
Yeah, the one thing that I was thinking about, for instance, when there was the moment where someone's like, "Oh, we need a generator." Well, we got a generator. Let's go bring it. I remember when folks needed a generator, like I posted something about needing the generator, and I got like 3 responses, and someone said, "Well, I have a generator and it might be broken, so if someone can help fix it." And someone's like, "Well, maybe I can come at like 3 p.m. the next day, and I have a generator, but I don't have any gas." And it's just each one of those things becomes like micro tasks in and of itself. And I remember for like 4 hours that day, I was thinking, "Oh, I hope one of these generators comes through because people really need this generator or something."
But what was really cool was people volunteered to help with that first generator that was like maybe not working. We had volunteers come out and fix that thing because people want to help, and it feels good to help. And you might not be able to go over there and shovel them up, but you can pop over to the birdhouse and help fix a generator for an hour.
Or if your strength is communication and organization, that's a great skill too, right? You don't have to be physically able to transport supplies to be really useful. If you're good at organizing, I think one of the strengths of this work is that you can jump in and you can be helpful, whether that's dropping off one item or lending a few hours or, driving for 3 days straight. Like there's a lot of different extents to which you can get involved and be helpful, and it's not all physical.
I think one of the beauties of this too, and I wasn't being just a jerk when I was saying, "Hey, I think abortion is murder. I think Obama's the devil." We had people from an incredible background of people that were there, that were working together, that had extreme viewpoints. I was in front of the Unitarian Church when some trucks came down, and these good old boys were loading it up, and that's exactly what they were saying. And the Unitarians are standing like 20 feet away, and I'm just like watching this, and I'm like, okay, thank you so much for your service. But that's also a reason, like when we hit 1,000 people, we did a cutoff, because painful past experience has shown that when you grab a bunch of people at random with disparate, it's a formula for heartbreak. Try to organize that into a long-term effort. It's better to have people break into sort of like their own little affinity groups and try to force a long-term structure out of, because they're going to fight. And that was also the reason we had to keep the Facebook on terms. But that was the beauty of it too, is that it was something where you had people on the right, the left, Southern Baptists, burnout crusty anarchists, all lifting water and moving stuff all together. And that was the most revolutionary part of it for me, is seeing all these people, just working together that had such disparate views. But it's also why we did a firm biodegradable group. That's the term we came up with. Biodegradable groups are sometimes appropriate. And through past experiences with trying to get people to work together that have been grabbed at random, it was a headache when I actually have tried that in the past. So, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part?
Yeah.
Just hearing you talk is my favorite part.
Me
I think
too.
we had a question though.
Yeah, let's take questions.
A couple things. So, I guess one, can you talk a bit about like benefits or drawbacks of like kind of centralized control versus decentralized approaches in mutual aid? Because especially in that like first 2 days after Helene, when information was like so sparse, most of the roads were closed. Like being able to effectively penetrate into the disaster zones and like get supplies to the effective distribution centers. Like what is, besides literally driving every road and being able to find where those centers are, like how do you get there and find them quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
One benefit of a decentralized structure is we're much faster than the centralized structures. By the time the churches and everybody had started to get mobilized, they were relying on our drivers' information. People were reaching out from the churches and from the official groups. So that speed is one. We don't have all the infrastructure. Plus, two, is for these disasters, as they become more and more intense, the government isn't going to be able to handle it. It's going to have to be models where citizens can all plug in and not depend on a hierarchical. But for me, it's just about speed. Every single time, we're always the first out there. We're the first moving supplies. We're getting feedback and modifying what we're shipping before a lot of other groups have even gotten their president, have a meeting with their board, to have a discussion of the supplies. Do we want to that? And it's great when they do that, but we give everyone a head start as well. But
And is there like an effort to keep? So I guess like especially since Helene was such a massive impact on such a huge like area range and so many different townships and cities working together. Do you guys like keep some of the infrastructure besides just like knowing people and connections, but some of like the hard infrastructure, distribution lines, and like points of contact? Do you keep that for future disaster stuff, or do you kind of have to take this like first 2 hours like organizational approach every
I'd
time
say more
something
like that.
happens?
More just taking it as it comes.
Right, because people have different capacities at different times. So, I probably have the names and phone numbers of a number of drivers or suppliers from Helene, but I wouldn't necessarily rely on them for something in the future. If you put it out there, I think they'll come. So I think what we're advocating for is a decentralized approach in this effort. But organization is still helpful. There might not be a boss, but having people who are kind of managing the process does help.
But also, like, we're not like the kings and queens of mutual aid in Knoxville, right? We're just people who jumped in to be helpful with these particular events, but there's no reason that you all can't jump in and do the same thing, right? We're not in charge. We're not even trying to like lead this necessarily. We're just saying, hey, this is what we did, and everyone, really everyone is capable of, if they want to, being involved in organizing this, contributing to it. Yeah.
So I guess along the same lines, can you talk more about like the importance of relationships with decentralized systems? Because when the scenario or the simulation started, I was like, oh, this is like in 2022, and Chris was telling me what to do on the social media. So it felt Chris, anytime something happened, I do think, who should I ask? I ask, if you've seen me, I ask you all kinds of questions like if there's something that someone needs help. And so I looked at Chris because we have that historic relationship. So when something happens, I know, okay, I look at Chris's pages because I know he'll share. So again, like, your list of drivers, so like the relationships that you build doing this and like how that, helps sustain a decentralized system.
there is an institutional knowledge that carries forward. Cecilia was with the middle of the Kentucky flood stuff. And then when you came into Helene, we had somebody who got the model before, and now we've got Catherine who gets the model the next time it happens. And we have maybe 1,000 people that now get that model in Knoxville. Those people are still here. They now have seen it. They know how it's supposed to work. So it gets easier. And we still have like now I think it's 995 people that joined that list is still there. So if we have something happens, we can still post to our Kentucky list and to the list that we've generated. So there is an institutional knowledge that carries forward. I think the Panthers called it each one teach one. Which is exactly what we're doing right now, is passing one. And it's very helpful. Just to have people that know the model, have done it, lifted the water, and get it.
Also, the Facebook groups that we created, we want to be a long-term hub for information about these kind of grassroots efforts. So you can hopefully go to it across many different disasters and find information, where to go and how to help. So I think that is going to build relationships as well. There's a trust factor that you jump into something not knowing what it is, you see that it works, and then maybe you come back to that group again on Facebook for the next disaster. Unfortunately, there's going to be more than one, and you know that it's going to work like you've seen before, or something similar. So I think relationship building is important, but I don't think it is. I think we want to bring in unknowns. We want to bring in people who don't have a relationship at all, and people want to help.
Also, every single district point would invite us back tomorrow, because we always left it. We had enough tree huggers involved. We always left it cleaner, like our campsites. And we told them that every single district point we've ever done, hopefully the birdhouse would open their doors to us tomorrow. So that's another kind of incident. They've seen what we do, they understand it, and they trust us as well, because we don't ask for money. We don't touch the bloody money. Money is what screws everything up. It screws up all the efforts. You got to keep track of it. You get accusated, And by completely cutting that off, it builds a lot of trust. People are like, we tell them, it's like, we don't want your damn money. We want you to get water. We want your truck. We want your chainsaw. We want your stuff. And that builds trust in the community too. We had people that came that were a little distrustful, and they came back and just fired up because they got it.
What was the legal thing with the birdhouse, though, where we ended up having to leave because someone thought we were the attorney general?
The birdhouse is a nonprofit charitable organization. So because we are under that classification, the state was privy to know what was going on.
They caught wind and tried to stomp it out.
So the board that we're part of, the organization that we're part of, was like, they had paid their charitable organization dues for the state, but they hadn't been registered yet in the state system, and it was just like a mix-up. So the Secretary of State contacted me and said, you all can't be doing this from here. But for one, we had paid. It was correct. They just had messed up on their end of things. And for two, what are they going to do? Like, I mean,
We're going to stop sending supplies to people in need over
Well,
like a
yeah,
period.
so-
What happened is really important, though, was that we were like food not bombs. We went to the sidewalk. We were like, okay, we're on the sidewalk. And then a big warehouse opened up to us, and we went to that. And we stayed there for a while, and then it's just like, okay, find us. We're moving so quickly, and we ended up getting bigger and bigger locations, so it actually ended up being a benefit that they kind of pushed us out of where we were at, because so many people stepped up.
You don't have to change locations. The Lock-in Key Productions, the warehouse, they aren't a charitable organization. They're just a business. But the benefit of that is they don't really have oversight by the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State wouldn't know who to contact there to tell them that they can't do it. But it was 100% legal at the birdhouse, and we hope to do it in the future there as well. Yes.
I don't understand, like, why is it not legal? I mean, don't you have the ability to do that from anywhere? Like,
These are good questions. Are any of you law students? I'll let you answer. But supply donations are monetized technically, maybe by like the state. Like they make you like they want to consider a donation of supplies of an amount on a piece of paper. So charitable organizations are ones that they get in for good. Nonprofit and charitable are actually separate. These are not equal. They're not the same thing. You can be one or the other or both. And the Birdhouse is registered as both.
Politically, they're lucky we didn't start fighting about that, because the
Yeah.
Southern Baptists would have gone to Nashville and raided their offices. When they came after us for food not bombs, it was the religious community that stepped up and made suddenly the mayor basically write us a letter of apology saying, you can go there anytime you want, just don't be. So but we were so focused on logistics, we were just like, yeah, we had a lawyer or two contact that dude, talk him away, and just kept sticking and moving and going into other. It was a non-problem, but if we had to shift some of we just didn't shift our firepower to telling everybody what they were doing and contacting the governor and the General Assembly, because people would have, but instead we just stayed straight on task. We're like, yeah, you're just a distraction. You're a distraction. We're gonna get water from A to B, and then we had we had an attorney give them a call, and you're going to get hassled. There's always, for everything meaningful I've ever seen, there always are the people that come out and say, you can't do that. You can't do that. You're doing it wrong. You can't do that. In fact, it's gotten to the point where if I don't hear those voices in something I'm organizing, I'm starting to feel like I'm not doing something meaningful. Maybe I am doing something wrong. I'm listening. But the thing is, so many people get involved that for this effort, I didn't really hear anybody other than one sort of semi-fascist state person calling in. Everybody else was 110%. All we got was love in every direction.
And that's another advantage of not being in a hierarchy is that there's no one in charge to blame. Like, it's like, oh, I don't know. All these people just came together. I don't know who's in trouble.
Yeah, who's in trouble.
I see a hand.
I know you mentioned earlier about like encouraging drivers to not go after dark or on roads that have been reported being unsafe. Did you all have to worry about liability at all, or how was that?
I didn't. For the one thing is, we could have done releases, but we weren't paying anybody. It was purely a voluntary. I think there would be an assumption of risk as well, in that you're going into a disaster area. We're telling you we're going, and we're telling. So, but that still doesn't excuse us from following best safety protocols. So we were really serious about the drivers contacting us every single time the moment they hit there and giving us feedback about field conditions.
And also I asked drivers to contact me once they returned, once they got back to Knoxville safely.
And I forcefully unloaded a couple of vehicles where I was like, no, you're carrying too much. You cannot do this. And just be like, and the people get it, they appreciate it. And the night thing, yeah, we heavily discourage. We just basically like, no, we won't load you once it's dark. Just
People
because.
want to go.
Yeah, people want to.
There's no one to receive at night.
Yeah, but you still have people that are just like, they're so fired up and they want to help. That's one of the important functions of the distro people is to sort of check people, see if they're not exhausted, make sure that they're, but yeah, I in terms of, I know it keeps me awake. Everything I organize, I'm like, oh God, please no one die.
Yeah, there was one night where a driver, I remember it was like 11 o'clock and people were getting worried because the driver hadn't reported back, and there were a few different calls, and then in the morning we found out they just like stayed with a friend and it was in an area with no service, but there was like 2 minutes of what happened with this person.
But the important part of that is there was only about 2 minutes of and there were people calling and communicating and finding out. So we were effectively.
Oh no, there were a lot more than 2 minutes. That was
But we were keeping track of the people that were going into the field. But it's a really good point. People are going into disaster areas. You've got to be, check the tire pressure to make sure the tires aren't bald. Try to do, everybody's sort of responsible for everybody's safety. And you need to be clear with people too. What's funny is we had so many. I started to do a safety lecture. Somebody was like, "I live on a farm, buddy. I got a 4-wheel drive right here. I got this. They just don't worry." And then also there's a difference. Like we can send people who have like a Prius on concreted roads, and then segregate basically the type of vehicles for like the serious off-road work. It's a really good point though. Safety is a real concern anytime you're sending people into disaster areas.
If you wanted to put together just a really quick liability release form for drivers, I don't think it'd be an awful thing. If one of you did do that, it'd be great. 15 Facebook group would be a great place to post that to, so people could grab it really quickly and easily and print it out.
Yeah, if you all have ideas to share about like how to strengthen this and improve this, that's awesome, because this is all just for anyone to jump into. Yeah.
You had mentioned the word hub, and that's what was running around over here in my head. And so when it started raining and storming at the very beginning of Helene, I had watched enough weather, and I've been traveling. My son went to Furman, so I made that trek through the mountains a lot.
Yeah, you knew.
And so I was familiar enough with the terrain that I knew the storms were going to be really bad, and I started scouring social media, both TikTok and Facebook, for people who lived in those little tiny towns, and I started bookmarking them and going back and checking on them. And then as I saw emergencies, I started tagging, like the mule packers, or there were different just individuals, one of which to me became very prominent. He had a lot of money, but he stepped out into the forefront and was coordinating things.
Mhm.
So I started tagging him and things. But it made me think about, and I did that for about 48 hours. It was just me solo, like staying up and just, because that's what I felt like I had the power to do. But in listening to you, and I know I don't think I'm in that whatever Facebook group you're talking about. I don't think I'm in there.
It's new. It's a new one. The Knoxville Disaster Response Mutual Aid.
Yeah, in getting ready for this conference, we just started talking about maybe it would be a good idea for us to have, instead of a temporary group like we formed for the different floods, to have just a permanent group that can be kind of a communication hub for coordinating future events or sharing resources.
So that's where I was going. I was going to ask if the information, if there is not necessarily the centralized power, but to create an information and resource hub, so that people who are plugged into these organizations, but just people who are not plugged in, like I was not plugged into anything in that moment. I just wanted to help, and I saw where my skill set could be useful. But I didn't know where to go with that. And outside of what I was doing, right? So, but instead of having to recreate that every time, like people were saying, are there lists? Is there like a telephone chain, or and that would be something really good, I think, to have just on its own standalone website, so that it's also not privy to any of the powers that are controlling the social media stuff.
Well, that's true. I will say what I like about social media is that you could create, like you could go on there and post what you did for those 48 hours, and that could be a resource to everyone else, versus having one person managing a website. But I do hear you. We do want this Facebook group to be the hub. A website's a great idea that we can consider as well.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work,
What
we'll
you're describing is,
ditch it and do something else, but yeah.
but what you're describing is something I think that we are kind of leaning toward, but we want help from the collective to make it work.
So I've got a cousin in Asheville who's medical personnel, and in the first almost 24 hours after it really started raining hard, we couldn't get in contact. Most of the cell phone towers, specifically Asheville Central, just went down. Being that we rely so heavily on internet connection for cell phones, for Facebook groups, for basically any kind of the informational stuff now, do you guys have any other alternate ways of like getting communication to penetrate into those zones if cell phone towers go down?
Cell phone towers did go down.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So like what happened specifically during Helene? How did you get that done?
Oh, Adam, are you?
You go. I have a sort of bigger picture response to this.
Oh,
We had radios, we had word of mouth, we had people going in the community hearing that can come back. But yeah, and when you get, the thing is, even landlines are gone down. So, I mean, it gets to a point in some of these areas that it's going to have to be people going there and coming back. And it's for disaster relief, it's the areas not impacted that still have the coverage that can communicate. That if it comes to the point where we are losing communications here in Knoxville and everything's shutting down, then it'll be other people bringing supplies to us that
So
still
you're
have.
coordinating with the communities that were kind of like on the footsteps of where the internet had gone down.
We send people to there.
well, that too though. We were like those distribution centers we saw on the slides, like in Elizabethton or Unicoi County, Hartford, Marshall. They did have power and they did have internet, but they were just like a couple miles from the actual disaster areas. So we found out that we could send stuff there, and then they were close enough to actually get it to the people in those areas. So it's kind of a chain. It's a chain effect. And it seemed to work really well, and we adjusted. This was a big part of what we did is we started out with water and sending people in blindly or going to maybe not the most productive drop-off spot, but then it got more refined as the days went on, as people actually went in and came out, like Chris was saying.
People started contacting us, everybody did, about what's going on in this town, what do they need. We became sort of, everybody knew we had all this information coming out of the field. What time are we supposed to be done?
10:15.
Oh,
We
cool.
have 5 minutes.
Five more minutes.
I know Adam wanted to share something.
The other thing I'll say is in the Clear Fork Valley, we worked for years to try to do an internet expansion there, and what we ended up building is a network based on a 5G tower, but a series of portable network kits at some of the key community centers in the valley in Campbell and Claiborne County, Tennessee. And one of the advantages of having this PNK-backed network is in the event that the internet is severed, if there's a disaster or something, you can still communicate internally. So it kind of almost replaces, a corded phone system or whatever, that if there were a flood there, and there has been flood, there has been catastrophic flooding, but there's been significant flooding before, the people in different community centers can still contact each other through this network. And I think,
reach outside.
yeah, and I think building out those kind of networks is really important, especially in vulnerable communities.
All right, well, for our last 4 minutes, I want to take a moment to ask these two panelists, what was your favorite part of either of these efforts? What stands out as your most potent memory?
I can't think of a specific memory, but just generally everyone's willingness to come together, to stay focused. People were so respectful and so willing to help. So that was my favorite part, just for both of these flooding disasters, to see our community come together, regardless of people's backgrounds, regardless of your skill set or how much you could contribute, and just really cooperate in this really efficient way that, I think it made a big impact. So that's my favorite.
Catherine?
I would say some similar things that we've already heard. This was end of September, early October 2024. Things were very tense in our country and divided, and it felt so good to have people come together and help from all different backgrounds, political views, socioeconomic areas, and just the impact, the amount people wanted to help was just overwhelming, and that made me, restore a little bit of hope in America and in our lives. But I want to ask Chris and
Adam's next.
So at one point, my friend offered a pickup truck and a trailer to bring, and she's like, "You can bring. Have you ever driven a truck with a trailer before?" Now I maybe had once, but my choice there was to either go ahead and just or try to find someone who could reach out and go and make this connection. So I said, "Sure, I can do that," and I got a 5-minute lesson on how to drive a pickup truck with a trailer, and it went well enough. But we got to the birdhouse, we loaded it up. I drove to Irwin that morning, and I'm pulling into the church in Irwin, and there are a bunch of good old boys there ready to help with the unloading and everything. And the very first time I back in perfectly where they need me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, something was looking down on me, because when the moment happened, I did it.
Yeah.
And that's the memory.
And then I know you also wanted to share another memory from the floods as well.
Yeah. I just got a picture the other day. I don't know if anyone knows Tariq Becha of Tariq's North African. Amazing restaurant, go eat there. In part because Tariq was right on the scene in the first few days, going into communities with giant trays, couscous, North African food, hot food, giving out meals to people who were out of power. So I'll always appreciate him for that. this picture in particular, he's serving with Melanie Barron, who helped form the Campus Workers Union here, and Alejandro Guizar Lozano. Last week, Alejandro was abducted by ICE. He's currently in jail in Jena, Louisiana, waiting to see if he will be deported. Came here as a 12-year-old, grew up, lived in Knoxville longer than I have, and, you know, there's a picture of him when his community, when people in Irwin needed help, he was out there on the ground, spooning food, doing everything he can right now, and I think that shows how, you know, this sort of state violence only serves to, in its small way, destabilize our community resilience. When someone who's a pillar of a community, who's really never known anything else other than being an East Tennessean, is just like taken away from us with everything he does in the community. So you can follow, if you go to the AKIN Allies of Knoxville Immigrant Neighbors on social media, or the ICE out of East Tennessee, there's some calls to action for how you can step up and support Alejandro right now, because he was one of those people when the rural communities around here needed him, he was right there.
Thank you, Adam. Chris, let's close with your favorite part or memorable moment.
Direct action is the antidote to despair. That's the old tree hugger thing. And always when these disasters and stuff hit, I feel despair. I feel horrible. I've been doing conductivity readings throughout the strip mines of Kentucky. Dean Rifkin's the reason I had to do it throughout Claiborne County and Scott County, these areas that are impacted. They're lovely and beautiful. And I just felt this wailing pit of despair in me, seeing all this disaster porn coming out everywhere from the media and being like, but then being able to do something about it suddenly. And I watched that transition in everybody that came. People come in just feeling looking dead, like completely horrified, just like, fuck, I just want to do something. I don't care about the talk. I don't want to post. I want to do something. And watching, seeing hope in people's eyes, coming back, seeing people getting empowered within minutes, you know, seeing people come in with that look and getting in line and starting handing supplies across and stuff. Seeing that sort of psychological shift from despair to empowerment again and again and again and again gave me a charge that I'm writing today. You know, I felt I need that. Whenever I feel despair, I think about that. And so that would be my 2 cents, is that direct action is the antidote to despair. You all are powerful medicines. So thank you.
Thank you for being here so much.
Oh, no.
I actually meant like I really do like.
Oh, no, I thought
I can't say high school.
something funny.
It's like, it sucks that not only it's in spite of him being a community advocate, but entirely possibly because people who are the most visible, have the most online presence, have